The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome to the 15-Point Plan. Chad Himes here, joined by the quirky Jillene Snell. Hello, Jillene. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Good to be here.
Good to have you. Folks, we are diving deeper into point number 2, which is movement. We are going to be digging into that, Jillene, and talking about various things that all fall kind of under that umbrella of our movement part of the 15-Point Plan.
Right.
Okay, so now remember, movement to us actually meant working out, right? Movement to us meant elevating your heart rate for a minimum of 20 minutes over 70% of your maximum heart rate. And we talk about that. You can go back and get the calculations from the episode where we talked about movement at the top level overview, okay? Today, we're going to talk about something that aids with movement, but I don't consider it actually movement on its own. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I think we might want to look at this as more of a and versus an or. So it's not exercise or stretching. It's exercise and stretching.
All right, so there you go, folks. She gave it away, the exciting topic of today, because if you didn't read the heading of our podcast episode, today we will be talking about stretching.
Yes.
So, Jillene, you just said it's an and, not an or. Why don't you just tell everybody out there, what is stretching? I mean, we all have a general understanding of what stretching is, but what is stretching?
Yeah, so the general overview is that stretching is a form of movement in which a specific muscle group is deliberately flexed or stretched in order to improve the muscle's perceived elasticity. So the result is a feeling of increased muscle control, flexibility, and range of motion. But interestingly enough, stretching is also used therapeutically to alleviate muscle cramps, to improve function in daily activities by increasing range of motion.
All right. So, folks, you know what stretching is. It's the stuff you don't do before and after a workout that you know you should be doing. Okay? Glorified stretching, also referred to as yoga.
Very funny, Chad.
Okay. And I know somebody's out there going, hey, wait a minute. Look, yoga to me does not qualify as exercise.
I think there's types of yoga, though, that focus on stretching.
Yes.
So it would depend on the type, I would say.
And I know that if I met with Maroon 5 lead singer, help me out here.
Adam Levine.
Adam Levine, thank you very much. He would completely prove me wrong. He's like a master yogi and is completely ripped, and the only
Super
exercise
fit.
he does is yoga, right? It's pretty impressive. Yet, to me, movement means I'm getting my heart rate elevated, and it doesn't usually happen in yoga unless I'm doing specific, as you said, types of yoga to make it happen. And Jillene, there are lots of benefits to stretching, though. Many, many benefits. And I want to lay these out there for everybody that we can talk about what are the benefits of this stretching, and then we'll get into some of the best stretches. And I know there's something you're kind of holding on to when we talk about the benefits of stretching. So hold that little trick thought you were talking about before we began here. And I want to talk about this. Look, stretching increases blood flow. That's what stretching does. It increases blood flow through our body, which boosts our oxygen levels and delivers nutrients where they need to go and removes the metabolic waste like carbon dioxide and things that are in our body. Okay? That's what stretching does. It helps us get blood flow moving. Now, you and I have had lots of conversations about blood flow moving and healing that comes along with that. Jillene, stretching does wonders for us. One of the benefits we're probably not going to cover, though, is healing. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I think that there's a myth about stretching that, hey, I'm going to go on this long run. I've never ran 5 miles before. Here I go. And then afterwards, I'll stretch and I'll be fine. Well, the myth about stretching is it actually is going to heal you. And it's a personal belief, of course. I think Chad agrees with me that stretching is not your savior. It will not come to save you for overuse of exercise.
Yes.
So don't injure yourself and think that stretching will save you. Truly, and we're going to go through some more benefits of stretching, but the big thing is just taking that time to sit in, a space, a quiet space, or a space in your house that maybe is going to give you almost like a meditational experience.
Okay.
And I know I don't typically meditate in the traditional form, but stretching becomes that for me. And then what's happening during that time is I'm allowing my mind to disconnect from any stress. I'm allowing my body to start to let go of tension in these different areas of the body. I'm just disconnecting from all things stressful and letting my body cool down. And what that does is that's going to automatically reduce stress in the body and the mind, which is automatically going to promote a form of health. And you would call that healing. It definitely won't just fix an injury, but it will help us be on a path to get there. So those are, from my perspective, some of the benefits that I've tapped into. That's like, wow, this is worth it. This is worth doing.
I'll be honest. I'm not a good stretcher. Right?
Okay.
I'm the guy that when I went to a group workout session, I stretched only because they made me stretch. And half the time I skipped the stretching and just started wrapping up and leaving.
Why do you think that is? Why do people skip stretching?
It takes time and we don't see accomplishment from it, and it's boring and it's slow, so we skip it.
Yeah.
I will still go for a run and barely stretch when I'm done.
I heard a stat that most people don't start to stretch until they're in their 40s. I'm like, whoa. That's a long time to wait for people that exercise from, the time that they're young to
Maybe
wait
that's
until
'cause
your
we get
40s.
smarter when we get into our 40s, or we just start hurting more when we get into our 40s and we just need to do it.
Or maybe there's more of an element of patience in your 40s. I don't know. I'm not 40 yet. I
don't
can't
have
speak
that
for
one,
Chad.
and I don't have that one, and I'm on the other end of my 40s here. I'm almost all the way out. So we were doing our homework, Jillene, you just mentioned it. One of the best benefits of stretching that came up was that it helps reduce and manage your stress.
Huge.
Right? Because well-stressed muscles hold less tension, and therefore there'll be less stress in your physical body, which actually just helps you not have mental stress as well. You're able to relax. One of the best benefits stretching is going to bring is helping reduce stress physically and mentally. Okay? It's also going to help with your posture, right? Think about all the times your mom, dad told you sit up straight or stand up straight or whatever it was. Now you're slouched over, you're hunched over, all those things. Why? Muscles have tightened. They've gotten shorter. They've gotten used to that. That's why you don't stand up straight.
Well, I would ask everyone in the audience today, how much are you sitting every day? How much are you sitting during your jobs during the day? How much are you sitting at night when you're, watching TV or reading a book? How much are you actually sitting? Because I looked at that for myself, and I started tracking the number of hours every day that I was sitting. And what's interesting is I'm training for a run right now, Ragnar. And with my run, I went a little bit too hard, too fast with my run. And so I was stretching the leg out in order to have a longer stride during that run, which caused an injury in the knee, right? Well, what I realized is because when you're sitting at an office all day or at home, you're contracting the muscle. It's not going to that level of elevation or stretch that you get in an exercise. So I think that for posture, for prevention of injury, it's important, especially when you do a lot of sitting.
Jillene, I don't. I have a stand-up desk. I rarely sit. Maybe when I'm recording some of these podcasts, we're sitting. Yet I will tell you, when I'm on the phone doing some of my calls I'm actually laying on the floor stretching.
Okay.
I will be laying on the floor stretching during my calls. And we're going to get to some ways to tie it and anchor to it as we keep moving through it. But you can find the time. Don't tell me you don't have it out there. Let's cover a few more of the benefits of it. It's going to relieve aches and pains, right? Because things are just tight. As you said, as we sit all day, our hips are going to get tight. Even as we sleep, if we sleep the proper amount of 8 hours, in theory, you're laying still for multiple hours. Yes, we toss, we turn through the night, but you'll wake up, tightness in your lower back or your hips, maybe the position you slept. It will help reduce injury because a flexible muscle is less likely to be torn. Okay, so if you're doing something, and it will improve your performance. I know that by loosening up my hips, my run has picked up its pace. Okay, so there are a lot of benefits to stretching. We need to work it into our lives.
Absolutely. I think the key there with everything you said is this concept of blood circulation from the stretch.
Yes.
Because that in itself, if you look into all of the benefits of blood circulation, it's huge. Like fighting off potential diseases and sicknesses and It promotes white blood cells in your immune system to be transported around the body as needed. It gets your organs working in the best order. There are so many things that, again, it's a prevention. It's not going to fix an injury, but it's going to be an incredible prevention for your health.
Okay, so Jillene, let's talk a little bit about stretching itself. Give some great stretches to our audience that they can be listening to. I made a list of probably the 5 top stretches that I want to walk everybody through, and then we'll talk about a few tips as we wrap this up at the end. But there's 2 different types of stretching. So talk to me about the 2 different types of stretching so everybody knows the difference and when to use one or the other.
Yeah, so the 2 different types are static and dynamic. Static involves holding a stretch in a comfortable position for a period of time, and that's typically between 10 and 30 seconds. And this is a form of stretching that's most beneficial after exercise.
Okay.
Because static, it's that hold, it's the slow progression of lengthening the muscle or the tendon.
Yes.
Now, dynamic stretching is great for prior to the exercise, and it's an active movement that will cause our muscles to wake up and stretch, especially if we've been sitting on an airplane or stagnant for a while or sleeping. We don't necessarily just want to just jump into any sort of stretch cold. And this allows you to do that with a little bit of movement. And we'll get into some of the specifics of what you can do for those.
Okay, so static, still, and dynamic is moving.
Yeah, that's a nice breakdown.
There you go. We'll put it in English. That's why your Peloton instructors have you do those really high speed cadences near the beginning. They're getting your hips and your body moving so you're ready for the ride that's coming. All right. So I'm going to go top to bottom. I kind of looked at the body and said, all right, I wanted to give everybody 5 stretches that everybody can do. Now, this might require some of you Googling some of these stretches because you're like, what? I don't get it. I don't understand.
I know. We don't get to give a visual on the podcast.
No, there's no
right?
visual. I'm not going to have Jillene do these stretches and take pictures or videos and put them into our group. They're there for you if you go Google, okay? But the single, and we talked about this before, Jillene, the single muscle that's probably the tightest on most people would be?
The hamstrings.
The hamstring.
Yeah.
Right? So a standing hamstring stretch is far and away one of the best stretches that's going to be out there to help everybody. Now, that's simple. Stand up, fall forward at your waist, basically, keeping your legs straight, and touch your toes.
I can't touch my toes, though, so.
Yes, you can. I was waiting to see if you were going to say that. You can touch your toes if you do this. Bend over like you're attempting to touch your toes. Understand you're only going to go so far, okay? Stand up, take a breath, exhale, and do it again.
Just took that breath.
Stand back up, inhale, exhale one more time. By the 3rd time you do it, you'll be touching your toes without any question.
I wouldn't guess 3rd time, but I'm willing to give it a try.
I will put money on it 3rd time. Everybody out there is by then touching. And what it is that blood flow and waking up the hamstrings that we are slowly stretching them, allowing us to be able to then get to our toes. So don't panic when you go do a standing hamstring stretch and you can't touch your toes. Give yourself the chance. Don't bounce. Bouncing is bad. Up, exhale, repeat the stretch. You'll go farther each time.
Yeah, and if you're holding the stretches, then you'll prevent the bouncing.
Correct. A standing quad stretch. Okay, this is stand on one foot. Grab your other foot behind you and hold your heel to your butt.
Maybe hold on to something if you have
lean on a
balance issues
wall
like
or
me.
a table if you need to for balance. This is going to stretch that front quad. Get your knee as close to your butt or your heel as close to your butt as you can. Okay? Borrowing from the yoga world is the cat-cow stretch. Now, if you don't know the cat-cow stretch, folks, it's get on all fours. Get on your knees, under your hips, hands under your shoulders, and then you move your spine. So arch your spine to the ceiling like a cat on Halloween, right? The hissing cat. And then you go the exact opposite where you lower your spine like a cow looking up towards the sky as you're in that position and just go back and forth between these two.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be amazed how much our spine is probably what's tight, and it relaxes all those muscles that are holding our spine in place.
Interesting. We don't always connect the spine to stretching, do we? So I'm glad that we're mentioning this in the podcast.
Yeah. Okay, runner's lunge with a twist. So the runner's lunge is considered the greatest stretch, and that's one foot behind, straight back behind you, and the other foot bent, and your hands beside your hands, almost like you're at a starting line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's to think about the runner's lunge. Now, Jillene, you like to have the twist added to it. Why?
Actually, I just like this stretch period, even without the twist, because I think you get the biggest bang for your buck. And you really want to hold this for a long time, if possible.
Okay.
And the twist part is going to get a little bit deeper into the hip flexors and the muscles in that area. And it makes a really big difference if you're especially an active person or you're training for an event.
Okay, so the twist is from that lunge. You take the one hand opposite the knee and you reach it up towards the sky. Okay, so you're going to twist, and then you're going to do the other side with the other foot. And then the fifth stretch that I'm going to recommend for everybody is called the butterfly stretch. Now, you've done this as a kid. This is you just sit on the floor, put your soles of your feet together, press them together, and push your knees down as far as you can go. Okay, if you did these stretches, you would be stretching the key pain areas that most people are experiencing. Now, I said don't bounce. You should never go farther than you can, okay? And you should do every stretch you do on the left, you should do on the right.
It's good to be balanced out.
Yes, absolutely. You need to be balanced out. So, Jillene, let's give them a success plan. Talk about this anchoring term that you want as we bring stretching to a close.
So stretching, what I don't want it to be for the audience is something that is a cumbersome task on an already big daily list. Right? So we want to think about anchoring stretching to something we're already doing. And heck, if we're not already exercising that day, it doesn't mean we still can't stretch, right, Chad? And you mentioned actually that a really great time to stretch is like during a commercial break on your favorite television show, right? So that would be anchoring something. Now, I want to just think about anchoring for a second. So an anchor is a device used to connect a vessel to the bed of a body of water to prevent the boat from drifting due to wind or current.
Okay.
So, right, like an anchor is going to hold that boat in place, and when it starts to drift, it's going to hold it in that intended location.
Got it.
So we really want to feel secure in the things that we take on, such as stretching. We want to feel secure that we can create this consistency of it working, because the research will say that you need to stretch every day for 3 weeks to really make a difference in the actual lengthening of the muscle, where you're gonna see and feel that lengthening from the stretch. And so again, we'll want to anchor the habit to serve us, to be able to get us there. And another way we can anchor it, of course, is just simply making sure we do the dynamic before the exercise and the static after the exercise. So you just know, hey, I'm going to commit to the before and after, right? And we might even have another habit we anchor, such as drinking a huge glass of water or eating a banana 16 minutes before our exercise. Like there's other types of habits we're adding in there. We just want to make sure that it becomes a part of the routine and we don't do one without the other.
You got an hour workout, make it an hour and 10-minute workout. So you're adding 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after for your stretch. Schedule yourself properly.
Yeah, so the question is, would someone like me put it in my calendar before the run?
I would hope so.
Right? I take fitness classes in my community here, and I'll show up, and my goal is to show up like 20 minutes early so I can do 10 minutes of dynamic stretching before the workout.
Good.
So I just schedule that in, and it works really well.
There you go. Put it on your schedule. Folks, whether you're watching TV with commercials, whether you're watching Netflix and you do it between episodes before it just keeps going on your binge, get up and stretch. Stretching is going to get the blood flowing through your body, which is going to keep you healthier, keep you happier, and help raise your energy levels, like we hope we do with every one of these episodes. Until the next one.